Hello ladies and gentlemen and welcome to today's Game Poke. A special Game Poke. Why is it special? It's because I am fucking dying from the heat. My face is melting off. But that's not the only reason why it's special. No, the other reason is my neighbour, my next door neighbour, the guy who lives on the other side of this wall, he's a cunt! He was born a cunt! He has lived the life of a complete cunt! And he will die a cunt! Why? Because 3 times today, I have decided to record this video. And every time I'm about to press the fucking button on the camera, dunk, 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 he's smashing something with a hammer. Why, I hear you ask? It's because he's a cunt! But in all honesty, today we are going to talk about video game soundtracks. Now, we have covered this topic before, and I always wanted to just extend on it, do a part 2 maybe, sort of. Not really a part 2, we're just continuing the discussion as it were. If you enjoyed today's video, check this link. It is essentially part 1, so if you enjoy this, watch that. It's more of an introduction as to the importance of video game soundtracks, and 5 completely different albums. They have nothing in common with each other except for the fact that they're all quality. They are all good albums. And today, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to cover another 5 albums completely different from each other and from the ones we mentioned last time, but they're all good ones. We're not doing any bad ones today. Maybe one day I'll do bad soundtracks, but right now I don't want to face that. I need something to cheer me the fuck up after that bellend next door. And of course the heat, which, oh my god, it was hot before, but now the cameras are on with the light in this face. It'll be good and melting. So the first album we are going to cover is of a video game called Firewatch. Rather fitting, really, with how I feel today. The video game itself, just a little short bit about it. You are a guy that is hired to protect forest from fire. You're not a fireman. You live in a cabin. This is an actual job in real life, by the way, that you can get. If there's forest woodland like in America and probably some other places that are prone to burning like fuck, you can get a job where you're on fire watch. So if that happens, you're the first to tell people, oi, there's a fire there. Look out. I haven't done the game justice in its description. It's a very fun game. The story is the same thing all the time. You can do slight little changes. So it sounds like something like Detroit or Life is Strange, but it's really not. You get to travel your environment. You have free roams, kind of like Sandbox, but with a story. I love this game. I think it's fantastic. It's kind of cheap. I think it's £15 on like the Nintendo Switch, so it's probably a lot cheaper than that on your PS4 or whatnot. Please check the game out. Dead fun. I haven't done it justice in description, and I haven't covered the story because it is a great story. Any description would ruin it, in my opinion. Just check it out. And now for the music. The music is ambient, highly fitting to the environment of it all. You feel at peace while you're looking over sunset areas and the forest itself. You don't see a lot of, how do I call it, woodland creatures in the game, come to think of it. I think there's a trophy for the PS4 version where you can interact with a turtle or some shit. Yeah, I haven't got that trophy, so I don't really know. But you can get the soundtrack on your iTunes and places like that. It's very easy to find. It's only got 1 song with vocals on it, which is kind of a strange one. I don't want to get done for copyright, so I can only show you a small snippet of that.
I'm headed off to Ocean Shorey, where the birds and the bees won't know me. Man and war won't exist no more, and there ain't no gals to keep no score.
The level of ambience within this soundtrack is just perfect for the gameplay. I've said it before, the music is so important in a game, and we do take it for granted. But here, everything about it is awesome. There's not one piece of music that is out of place. In the suspenseful bits of the story, you have suspenseful music. And in the calm, somber bits of the game, you have music that fits that perfectly as well. All in all, not only do I highly recommend you play the game, but I highly recommend you check out the soundtrack. Even if you don't like the game, I guarantee you'll like the fucking music. Next one is something completely different. Sonic the Hedgehog Master System Edition. Yeah, bear with me. Yes, Sonic the Hedgehog, the Mega Drive one, is a fantastic game. It was all about speed, which doesn't sound like much nowadays, but back then, games were very fucking slow paced. It was the odd quick one. That was mainly PC gaming, I think. For it to be quick on a console, it wasn't really a thing. Even in your racing games, they'd never felt that quick at the time. So Sonic was all about speed. The personification of speed. So you think the Master System version is meant to be the same. It's not really. There's a lot of speedy, fast bits, but it's more about platforming. The Master System version of Sonic the Hedgehog is far more skill-based. You've got to be good to complete the game. Whereas the Mega Drive one, yeah, you got to be good, but you don't have to be as good, I think is the best way to say it. So that's the game. But why am I mentioning the soundtrack? Well, obviously, some of the tracks are ripped right from the Mega Drive one. They're just the 8-bit version, so here's one or two comparisons. But the main reason I want to talk about this one today is something very strange. I found this out from the Gaming Historian, so if you are into the Gaming Historian, you probably If you are into the Gaming Historian, you probably already know about this little piece of trivia. Now, as we know, the Jacksons, Michael Jackson and all that, they were well into the Sonic the Hedgehog and the Sega scene. There was a Michael Jackson game. I didn't like it, but whatever. I suppose it was impressive at the time, graphically and sound-wise and shit. But there was also the thing where Michael Jackson did music for Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and due to all of the bad stuff surrounding him at the time, Sega went, no, yeah, nothing to do with Sonic the Hedgehog 3. But the Master System one has something to do with one of the Jacksons as well. But this time it's Janet Jackson. Listen to this track from a level I believe is called The Bridge. Little track, isn't it? And it's not from the Mega Drive. That one is not a 8-bit port of anything on the Mega Drive version of Sonic the Hedgehog. No, this is its own unique track. And it sounds really good. In fact, it sounds so good that a few years later, Janet Jackson came out with this song. One more time so you can see the resemblance. See? Janet Jackson must have loved that fucking level. It is a damn good tune for the Master System, and she made it a very popular song. So, in case you didn't even know about that, yeah, it's quite interesting, isn't it? If you already did know about it from Gaming Historian, maybe you're like me, and you pissed at him for telling the world that. Because I played that level and I'd be going, and then he told me that through the YouTube. And I'm now No, I'm everywhere I go, every smile I see. Fuck! I can't help but think of that bloody song whenever I play that level in the game. You've ruined it for me, Norman. You bastard. You're not really a bastard. I worship the ground you walk on. Just like I do with James Rolfe. Third one for today is one that, unfortunately, not a lot of people have played. I don't know why. Maybe it's because the console it's on, such a huge library of games, a few people just missed it. Anyway, it's a PS1 game, Scallon Monkeys. This game is one that I have nicked songs from soundtracks and put it in my Sega Head episodes quite a lot. If you look through any of my bigger edited videos, I'll do a link to one of them here. I don't know which one, I'll just pick one randomly and put it there if you want to check that out. I have Scallon Monkeys music throughout them in different places because it sounds fucking nuts and bonkers. Exhibit A. Exhibit B.
Super burrito, chimichanga, and dos taquitos, chili relleno. Just give me rice and wino.
The game has a lot of claymation style shit in it, and it's God, I'm good at talking. The game itself is dead fun. It's great fun. It's highly challenging, but it's also fucking difficult. I've never completed it. I've gotten very far to some sort of jungle zone / level. It was many years ago. I remember bugs flying up and down and them always getting in my fucking way. Projectiles being shot all over the place, I think. Yeah, it was a cunt. It's a great game, but it does get really hard. The soundtrack to that is just nuts. Every song is nuts. There's one about eating baked beans.
More you eat, more you chew, more you chew, better you feel. That's that bean for every meal. Bean, musical fruit. More you eat, more you chew, more you chew, better you feel. That's that bean for every meal. Let's play your horn and make it toot with an SBD or a mega P. Do a cheer, let's give it.
The baked beans bit isn't completely random. There is actually a story bit that's cinematic in the game where it makes sense. Okay, it doesn't make sense, it's baked fucking beans, but the game's great, trust me on that. I know you're probably really confused, I know I am, but the soundtrack is the nuttiest soundtrack I've ever heard in a video game. It's certainly the nuttiest one I can think of right now. And yeah, I've used loads of tracks from that in the main Sega Head episodes, as I say. Please check out that link from earlier. Now for something completely different. This game is an indie game, kind of like Firewatch was, I suppose. This is Little Nightmares. Kind of makes me think of my kids, really, because they're little shits. This game is, well, how do I describe this one? It's not really a platformer. You're basically a sneaky kind of gamey thingy. Shit's always after you, shit's always trying to kill you, and you've always got to try and get away from it. But there's a lot of puzzles in the game. You will find yourself getting to a certain area where you have to sneak past a really freaky son of a bitch. But it's not straightforward as wait for him to look away and then run. No, you'll be there going, okay, I'll wait for him to look away, then I ran, and then I fucking died. So that didn't work. So I waited till he went over here, then I ran, then I accidentally ran into him, so that didn't work. And then you'll think, oh wait, this fucking thing moves. Throw that shit, he goes after that shit, then you run. See, brains. The game gets you thinking, but you will die a lot before you think enough, if that makes any sense. It's a great little horror game with some really freaky shit in it. And the soundtrack has got one of the freakiest tunes I've heard in ages. Why is it so freaky? Because children. Have a listen. As you can no doubt hear, that's some freaky shit. There are horror films out there with crapper tunes than that. That tune is one of the creepiest I've heard in ages. It's not scary. No tune is really scary. But it is creepy. makes you think of, what kind of horror film would I say? None. I can't think of a horror film that would fit it. Sinister, maybe? There's kids in the Sinister films? Nah, forget that. Sinister 1 was an awesome film, in my opinion. Sinister 2 was shite. Mama? That has kids in it, doesn't it? No? I don't know. I honestly can't think of a film that soundtrack, that tune would fit with. Nuts to it. Here's another track from the game. It's dark, it's deep, it's ambient like Firewatch is ambient, but Firewatch is ambient towards sort of peace and relaxation and things like that. Whereas Little Nightmares soundtrack is ambient towards darkness, fear, sort of tension building at times, kind of like an Alien soundtrack maybe, goes in that sort of regard. The game itself, fantastic, very worth trying. If you can get a deal on it. I think it's on the Switch now, actually. Yeah, I think so. It's been out a little while. And speaking of Alien-like soundtracks, that's what we're doing next. The final one for tonight is Alien Trilogy. I love this fucking game. In fact, I've done a Sega Head episode on it, but it was one of my oldest Sega Head episodes. Some of the camera footage is not as awesome. In fact, I consider it to be my first quality video. The ones before that were very rough, but you start out that way, don't you, really? If you'd like to check it out, there's a link to that. But anyway, let's get onto the game. The game itself is very Doom style. That's basically, in a nutshell, Doom with aliens. But the music is awesome. I think the music on this game is better than the music on Doom. Yes, I know Doom has different soundtracks depending where you listen to it. There was like the PC music, SNES music. There was the 32X music from Sega, which was balls. I honestly think the PS1 soundtrack for Doom was the best, in my opinion. What was that called? Ultimate Doom? Or Final Doom? Sorry, I can't remember off the top of my head. But Alien Trilogy has better music than all of the Dooms. Old Dooms. It's ambient again, but it's got a very sci-fi feel to it. And that's kind of weird, isn't it? How you can make sci-fi musical. The tune you just heard was the main theme from the game, and it's just fucking epic. I even said in my Aliens video how I have this on an iPod and I do listen to it from time to time. The final track is very different though. Where does the final track come into it? Oh, whenever you're on a level with a queen, yeah, you hear this. That gets your blood pumping, doesn't it? That is so fitting. You're running from a fucking queen, surrounded by eggs with facehuggers. That's the tune you should hear when you're in that shitty predicament. So I guess this game does have a little bit in similar with the last game I mentioned, Little Nightmares. It is dark and there is ambience, but Little Nightmares is creepy and weird. Whereas Alien is very familiar because we all know Alien, for fuck's sake. But it's got that level of science fiction elements in it. It's kind of strange to describe science fiction in sounds and music. But this soundtrack has it perfect. It is so good. It's got weird, creepy sounds in it at times, like this. But it never sounds out of place. It does belong there. And of course, when you're playing the game, it's even better. That's another thing I think this game does better than Doom. When Doom came out back in the day, it was creepy. Obviously it's not now, but it was then. But Alien Trilogy, if you play this now, I think you're more likely to be creeped out by that than you are Doom. Yeah, I stand by that. I reckon it's also a creepier game, as well as one with a better soundtrack. Gameplay is better on Doom than Alien Trilogy. Alien Trilogy, well, let me put it this way, you can get pretty fucked off after having a facehugger on you 17 times. But the game is awesome. And for some weird reason that I cannot figure out, here's something I've pointed out before. Doom on the PlayStation, yeah? Works great, good, fast pace, fantastic. Doom on Sega Saturn is bollocks. The frame rate will make you puke. It's fucking horrific how they got away with it. I mean, it is bad. It's fucking bad. But when you play Alien Trilogy on PS1, awesome again. But you play Alien Trilogy on Sega Saturn, that's awesome. So like, hang on. If you can get Alien Trilogy right on the Saturn, how could you not get Doom right? And it's nothing to do with your textures and any of that. Well, ignore your idea of textures and all this. It's frame rate. How do you get the frame rate wrong on one game, but on another game that's so fucking similar, you've done it fine? Maybe not perfect, but you've done it fine. I wouldn't complain about it. I don't think anyone would. Anyway, those are our 5 games for today. Very sorry by me being a bit crap with words. It is so hot today. It's, what is it? It's the 29th of the 6th. It's on a Saturday. It's one of the hottest days of the year as far as I can fucking tell. And I'm in front of a fucking great light bulb filming this. Yeah, I'm dying. And my neighbour's a cunt, as I've probably mentioned. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Cunt. If you enjoyed this video, please click like, leave a comment, subscribe and all that jazz. Check out some of the links that have been up there throughout the video. Thank you very much for watching. I'm going to go die. Bye-bye.